Welcome to round two of the Sapphire Cup featured match. We have Cyrus versus Nononsense.
We will see Cyrus running on delay will keep his hand open to us. Good luck, have fun. Given out by the players. Uh, Tetzot versus Dimid here.
Do you predict? Is this a Sapphire Ruby Tetzot? Near the end of the Shattered Destiny meta, we saw a lot of
I
that
would
style
imagine
deck.
so, now that I
There's
see
the
that
Sapphire.
Sapphire. Sapphire, of course, getting Arcane Focus, one of the best turn one plays in the game. Uh, you get to play it on turn one, look at the top card of your deck, top two cards of your deck, put one in your hand, shuffle the other back into your deck. It's it's not incredibly powerful, except for the fact that it is. It's weird because there's not a whole lot else to be doing with one resource, and it essentially makes it so that you're paying a couple of resources. You're paying four resources through the course of the game to instead run a 56 card deck, if that makes sense. 56 card deck. It's weird in what it does. We see Cyrus lays out a blood and a diamond across his first two turns, the diamond first, of course, and gets Soul Marble down on turn two. Where on the other side of the board, Nononsense has tunneled a troop on turn two, and there's a lot of things that can be between Ruby and Sapphire. Although the much hated enemy of set two, Reese the Crust Crawler, is a likely option.
But this is one of the decks where it could run something different for sure. Likely not Fisher Smith, as I would hold a Fisher Smith, but it could actually be Mesmeric Hypnoscientist.
Or Subterranean Spy, which is
Could
a
be.
card that I know for a fact that Nononsense is a huge fan of because information on your opponent's hand is huge. We will see Jags the Blade Master come down, and Cyrus top decks an Angel that will come into play, free as per its ability. Now we'll see if he develops the board at all in addition to that. We see it was a Subterranean Spy. This means, of course, that Cyrus had his entire hand exposed. Not playing a troop last turn means he is capable of putting Martyr down here and getting rid of the Jags to stop the Inspire trigger from happening. That being said, the Subterranean Spy still hits the board, and with the Martyr, the Monument to the Martyr on the board is a 4/3 on turn 4. We see another resource played, and the Buccaneer comes down, sending that Angel of Dawn back to hand. The tempo loss here for Cyrus is going to be substantial.
These 4/3, 4/3, and 3/3, a little preferable to double damage, but still, it's going to hurt.
Yep, 4 damage through. That Angel of Dawn now costs 6. Nononsense knows that he's generally going to be safe for a moment or two here. That being said, we do see the Vampire Princess come out on Cyrus' side of the board, again leaving him no resources open to enhance his Soul Marble to start chiseling away. And with the Monument to the Martyr available, both of Nononsense's troops can swing in here and survive a potential block by the princess itself. Again, the Angel of Dawn, Vampire Princess, and Blood Shard in Cyrus's hand are all known information because of that Subterranean Spy. And then the second Angel of Dawn, of course, known information because it was buccaneered. We see Crackling Bolt played to deal with the Vampire Princess, leaving Cyrus with no board and another tunnel troop from Nononsense.
Nonsense. There's not any nonsense coming from here. That's a bad joke.
Not letting up for a second. We see Cyrus lays down Angel of Dawn, just about his only play here. Could have laid down the Vampire Princess and hoped for some potential health gain, but he has no good blocks then. So we will likely see a swing here from Nononsense into the board. Angel of Dawn gets in front of the Buccaneer. Will kill the Buccaneer in response. It's not a chump. We see the Crackling Bolt come out, which will deal with the Angel of Dawn. And then Tetzot is played, and Tetzot finds 6 shards. 7. Oh, wait, no, 6. 6 shards, and then gets +1/+1 from the Monument to the Martyr. I was wondering how I miscounted that when they were all sitting next to each other. But
Some number that's above 5.
yeah. Good. Pretty good for a rock elemental, to be honest. See, the
And
Vampire
5's the
Princess
important
comes
number.
down. It is. Vampire Princess can block, and Cyrus will survive on 3 health. He is playing Blood Diamond. His out here, of course, is Extinction. Uh, Even if he extinctions the board on his next turn, his Nononsense has a Tunnel Troop down. The Monument of the Martyr is on his side, and he still has 2 cards in hand, even. And Cyrus won't be able to develop the board post extinction, so. So we will see the block. Vampire Princess will gain 2 health, and Cyrus will stay at 3. We see the Cerulean Mentalist hit the board here. Nononsense, not afraid to develop the board further, even. That Tunnel Troop, giving him a sense of safety. Also, again, does know every card in Cyrus's hand still. As Cyrus still hasn't played. Oh no, I think he played another Blood Shard. We do see an Angel of Dawn off the top. This isn't enough. No, this isn't enough to save him. But in almost every other case, he would have been really happy with it.
He could keep himself alive, though.
Mm. Oh, he could if
Yes,
he turns.
the
Yeah,
soul
if he
marble
turns
needs
his
to become soul armaments. I mean cavalry, and then the
cavalry.
cavalry attacks.
Yeah, that is his
The cavalry attacking with the D-mid's
with the
charge power.
Dimit charge bar. Yeah. Honestly, I might have just missed that entirely and conceded. It's a fairly hopeless situation, but we'll see if he can turn it around. This is 6 health here.
And that was made possible by the Angel of Dawn entering play. At least he can block and stop things. But yes, it is better to be barely alive than not alive.
Yep, the only point of health that matters is the last one.
Well, that martyr was important to stop Jags, though. Just that extra damage is piling up.
Oh, the
Well-
duplicitous Duke comes down and shifts its power onto the rock elemental, which will, because
It will-
of the way copy works, and sure, okay, becomes a 7/8.
8/8 because it copies the 7/7 and then gets the +1/+1 from Martyr. Monument of the Martyr.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that's how. Yeah, I hate copies. I hate copies so much. And we see Cyrus find the extinction.
Look at that! Look at
The
that!
problem is, unless that's a tectonic mega Hulk,
It's probably not.
which it's probably not. Now Cyrus does the proper thing and does go to the next turn here to make sure that that's a Reese, which it is. Reese will swing in here. I mean, it looked like a super good top deck, but at the end of the day, nothing really saved Cyrus there that I can think of. The duplicitous Duke was enough to seal that game on its own. So they will go to reserves, deal with their on-board and off-board situation, and see what they can do. Technofeet quacking in chat. As people know, Technofeet is 35% duck. We've got another tweet over at hashtag Sapphire Cup. Light Reaper tweets 2-0 versus his second control deck of the tournament. Hashtag Sapphire Cup, hashtag Midnight Express.
Here we
Game
go.
2 is underway. The coin flip animation still happening, despite the fact that it's 100% irrelevant. I always wonder if that's going to be like on the priority list for fixing for the next patch. Cirouss chooses to go first. Going to lay out a diamond shard here. He is playing Blood Diamond. We all know that the Angel of Dawn wants that diamond there super bad, and keeps a rather serious hand of a couple pieces of removal, a soul marble, and some shards, playing against an aggressive mid-range Ruby Sapphire deck. We see the Sapphire Shard from Nononsense, which was played off of a Shard of Innovation. Soul Marble will hit the board. And the draw for Cirouss is a Vampire Princess. The Vampire Princess might stick in hand next turn. We'll see. It's a strong option against the Ruby Sapphire deck because they're playing a lot of actions, but... Another Shard of Innovation. Julie goes to 2 resources. Nononsense does. So the first turn dual resource is a good use of your first turn. You're gaining a choice of threshold on your first turn in exchange for having a play that turn.
And normally, most decks don't really have a play for that turn.
Exactly. Every one that you play past that where you don't have a play, like Nononsense dropping that second turn there with no play, kind of hurts just because you're losing a bit of tempo. And we see the Arcane Focus here pre-combat. So that must have come off the top because he could have played it last turn. Finds a Ruby Shard. And again, leaves 2 resources hanging in the air while Cirouss is sitting here with a Vampire Princess. The tempo from Cirouss has been fairly okay. The Soul Marble on 2, the Vampire Princess on 3, the Dual Shard on 1. He's never let a point of resource go out without saying anything here, without doing anything here. The Vampire Princess reveals a duplicitous Duke from Nononsense's hand, and we see him draw the card, go to 8, play a 4th resource, dual Sapphire and Ruby available, which means almost all options are on the board.
We know there's at least one option in Duplicitous Duke. Is it duplicitous? Duplicitous. What do you say?
Either. Whatever I'm feeling like at the moment. It's kind of like the lithium-ion lyricist. You can really just say whatever you want, and somebody will try to correct you anyway.
Literally a battery.
Literally a battery. We see Jags the Blade Master come down, which is, funnily enough, was avoiding both pieces of removal in Cyrus's hand, but he finds the Solitary Exile to deal with it. So he'll snap that up and put it in the box. Jags doesn't like to be in the box, but he doesn't have a choice here. Vampire Princess swings again. 6 cards in hand. 1 is a Duke. What does he reveal? The same duplicitous Duke or another? We won't know. Of course, both of these swings dealing 2 points of damage and healing Cirouss for 4, so we've seen an 8 health swing. Another resource from Nononsense. Still 6 cards in hand. 1 is a Duke. We see the Mentalist come down. Now, the Mentalist does combo fairly well with the Duke. If it's allowed to stay on the board, the Duke will get inspired, and the Duke's copy will be inspired. But we see Cirouss uses his 2 resources again to get rid of the Mentalist once again. Fantastic use of his resources, hasn't let a turn go without using all of them because of the Soul Marble. Goes to 6 here and will be able to chisel away at the Soul Marble and produce whatever he wants here. So, Soul Armaments on the board.
Making Vampire Princess even more scary. I mean, 2 damage, 2 damage with life drain is one thing. 4 damage with life drain, that's big chunks of health.
A 4/4 Rock Elemental.
Still above average in most decks.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't do a lot on the board against a 4/5 Steadfast, Life Drain, Flight, Spell Shield. If it finds an action, turns it into a Vampire Kiss, can play Vampire Kisses for free card. And we see Counter Magic is found from Nononsense's hand and turned into that Vampiric Kiss.
And don't forget, able to use its once a turn ability to turn Vampire Kisses down to 0 costs.
Mm-hmm. And that Vampire Princess was in the opening hand, and I did mention that, actually. You see another swing. That is 4 health remaining for Nononsense here, so we'll see if he's capable of recovering from this. I think Yesterday or Triple Heatwave are the answers here, both of which seem fairly unlikely. Well, not Yesterday. Yesterday could certainly be a thing, but we see the good games come out. Well, there were no additional good games, but there was a concede there.
To game 3 we go.
The Vampire Princess was in Cirouss's opening hand, and generally you can tell by a quick glance because the Vampire Princess has even more text than it normally should if it was in your opening hand. Or was it not? I think it was his first draw. Because he kept a hand with no troops. Right, yes, right. It wasn't in his opening hand. That being said, you can still tell by looking at it normally. As the Vampire Princess has like 6 lines of text without the ability, and then like 8 lines of text with it. 8 lines of text being quite a lot for a single card.
So kind of a side random question. In which mode can I get the card to show up the largest in-game?
I believe in the deck builder.
Like when you zoom in the deck builder?
Yeah. Okay, so once again, both players are going to draw their opening hands. Julie will choose to go first. You'll see Cirouss choose to throw back his opening hand, but keep his second, which is fairly strong. Now, this is a different case of the dual shards. First of all, we're going to want to see Cirouss is going to want to play a diamond. And we see No Nonsense puts down a regular Sapphire, doesn't use Arcane Focus. Ooh, and we're going to want to see Cirouss put down the Diamond just in case he hits an Angel of Dawn, which he does on his first turn. The single most frustrating thing that can happen when you're on the draw as Blood Diamond. So we'll see he uses that Shard of Retribution, chooses Diamond, passes turn. And on turn 2, he's going to have some choices here. He can choose to play the regular Diamond Shard and lay down his Soul Marble, or use his Shard of Retribution to find a Blood, and use Withering Touch. Withering Touch, a strong card here against No Nonsense, taking an action out of hand 1 for 1 if there's one in his hand.
So Cyrus played Withering Touch into nothing?
We do see the Withering Touch miss, which, like I said, if you don't see... unlike Inquisition, if there are no non-resource, non-troop cards in No Nonsense's hand, Cyrus won't see anything. Now, that being said, he's now not afraid of actions, although I guess he's checking to see if that card drawn was an action, which it's not. Interesting choice there. The Withering Touch could have waited a turn or two, I think. Although I guess Cirouss was afraid of the counter magic. Might as well double check that his opponent didn't hit a counter magic. We see the Arcane Focus top decked by No Nonsense here. Naturally, that is a top deck because it wasn't found by either of the Withering Touches. Cirouss probably slamming his head into the keyboard there. A Shard played for No Nonsense, and the Tunneling Troop gets counter and passes. It doesn't surface this turn, so it's not a Subterranean Spy. We see the Blood resource come out for Cirouss. He now has all of his thresholds active that we know about, and he's probably just going to pass turn, hold up the cards in his hand, and start chiseling away at the Soul Marble. Yeah, Cirouss saying in chat that he had 3 resources open, so he thought he might have drawn counter, which is a perfectly valid play. It's still always interesting in theory to see that happen. We see those counters go up. In hand comes a Vampire Princess. Now that Tunneling Troop at 3 counters almost certainly means a Reese is available to surface next turn. And even though so Cirouss knows, in theory, that unless it was drawn very recently, No Nonsense doesn't have a counter magic here. Yeah, okay. I think Cirouss just realized what happened. He did not hold up murder for Reese. And even scarier than that, the quick Azurfate Sorceress is going to come down with the Major Ruby for direct damage. That'll deal 2 damage to Cyrus's mouth hole. He will take that and not be happy. And then when Reese surfaces here this next turn, it will deal 4 damage to Cirouss. And it looks like it's in response another Azurfate Sorceress. So that will deal 4 damage because it will be inspired by the other Azurfate Sorceress. Now Reese will be inspired by both of those Azurfate Sorcerai and deal 8 damage to Cyrus's face. And then... oh, man. Does he swing in here? I think he does, which knocks the Vampire Princess out. And then any 4 or higher cost robot that Reese creates will also be double inspired. Now, this, of course, is a play that opens itself up to extinction if it's what Cirouss top decks, depending on what Reese creates here. Or if No Nonsense is able to use his charge power here this turn, which it doesn't look like he is able to. We see the block by Vampire Princess. The Soul Marble tries to get away from Cirouss as he tries to put a counter on it. And it's a Tarot Bot, and the Tarot Bot will deal 6 damage to Cirouss's face, which leaves him on 2, which is not dead. He is still alive here. So we will see Vampire Princess and Murder are available. And Cirouss is going to say good game. There's nothing he can do to stop just the simple attacking damage of the sorceresses and the Tarot Bots here. But he does murder Reese. He does resolve murder on Reese, which is about the best you can ever hope for against Reese. That was a pretty good match. That went to game 3. Both players playing decks from the past, really.
Classic meta decks.
Yeah, classic meta decks. We have the Tetzot, Sapphire, Ruby that was making a huge splash in the meta at the end of set 2's Life to Spam. And we see the Blood Diamond Control from Cirouss, which has been a dominant deck in all metas ever, really. So would you like to find us another game